After the crushing disappointment of losing out on the 1990 Winston Cup Championship, Roush Racing hoped that the following season would bring a fresh outlook. It didn't turn out that way. Atlanta, early 1991. A botched pit stop and the chaos that ensued nearly brought the organization to its knees. This was more than just a matter of going around and around in circles. This was family.
Atlanta, spring of the following year, 91, a wedge wrench or something gets left in the window.
Yeah.
And things get kind of testy. Jack's got somebody in a headlock, and everybody, it's battle royale or what happened?
Well, I mean, that was we're having a normal pit stop. We're going to, and then halfway through the stop or a quarter of the way through the stop, they decide, that comes over, put a round of wedge in or take a round of wedge out or whatever. So it was a late call on that. And then it getting in a hurry, wedge wrench got left in, and so we had to come in and take it back out. Unfortunately, it was my brother Ryan that was the tire carrier, so that was another one of those deals that you can look at exactly what happens, but there's more to it than just leaving a wedge wrench in there. It's what led up to it, that kind of screwed up your timing.
I went up to your shop a couple of days after that race, talked extensively with Steve, and he really opened up his soul about this entire episode, leading into it and the aftermath.
Mm-hmm.
And I questioned you, and you were very cool about it. You just said, I'm not going to comment.
Yeah.
And Jack actually called me and was very upset.
Yeah.
But Steve talked to him and calmed him down, saying, Steve wrote the right story as far as I was telling it. And he also put in his story what I said, we will fix it.
Yeah.
So did everything sort of turn that way? I mean, there was a little bit of acrimony at first, but finally...
Yeah, it was, you got to look at you don't have to look at anything, but we're in Liberty, North Carolina, right? And it's not like you're up in Wilkes County getting people, or the Wood Brothers and Stewart, or what, we're out, right? And so, my brothers, they worked summers with us in high school, and Ryan and Roman both worked there, and it puts pressure on everybody a little bit, right? I was harder on them than I was on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack, he was, Jack was Jack, right? He makes cold decisions based on, that's how he runs things, right? And in respect to that, he's got, at the time, hundreds of employees in Michigan. Now it's thousands, right? But it was difficult on the family. He fired me 3 times in 5 years. And one time he fired me. He come down on Tuesday meetings, and the second or third time he fired me, we laughed about it. It is about something. And I said, look, you're here all day. I said, you got all day to think about it. I says, but I'm not leaving. You're not going to fire me, and I'm not going to leave. I don't own this thing, but it's as much mine as it is yours. I said, so I'm going out here and go to work. Let me know what you think at the end of the day.
Good for you.
That was at like 10 in the morning or 11 in the morning. And at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, it's like, yeah, but we got to do better, and we got to do this. I said, I could have taken the easy way and just rolled my stuff out and left, but, sometimes it was worth a debate.
Right.
So 1990 happens, you start 1991, and you go to Atlanta, and all hell breaks loose on a pit stop.
Uh-huh.
What do you remember?
Well, like I said, I was doing a lot of stuff back then. I was carrying tires. doing tires. There's lots of tires, right? Scuffed tires, sticker tires, Hoosier tires, a lot of things going on. And we were getting ready to go over the wall, coming on pit road, and, adjusting air pressure constantly, keeping up with the tires. There was we'll start with go over the pit wall, make an adjustment. I hesitate, go back to where the wedge wrench, to drop the jack, takes off, and the wedge wrench is in the car. All hell broke loose. Now,
what was your reaction when you saw that car taken out of the pits? And
I was sick. Absolutely, absolutely sick. And things that people don't remember, and we've never even talked about it. This is a bad deal. It happened. But I think people could have done a better job. They changed the call from one round to 2 rounds. And right as I was going across pit wall, I'm carrying tires, carrying the wedge wrench in my mouth. I was prepared for one move, went around, carried the tires, hung the tire in the right rear, went to the wedge wrench, did what I was originally supposed to do. That was the plan, the play.
Yeah.
And it changed the play as we were going across pit wall, and it didn't register until I did it. I was like, oh, I was supposed to do another one. And that's when it, dropped the jack and took off. So, I'd have been better off not doing a good job, right? For that scenario. So yeah, all hell broke loose. But it was, the things that you see isn't just what you see. There was other things that preceded.
Yeah.
In there, right? Best and worst thing that ever happened to me in my life. So
okay, all right. I'm just going to ask, and you can answer or not answer. Did Jack actually have you in a headlock?
That's what they say. I don't remember it.
What do you say?
Yeah, he snatched me around. It registered like nothing to me. Like, I played sports my whole life. Like, you get yelled at by the coach. You didn't do something you're supposed to do.
Okay.
You didn't run the play right, whatever.
Yeah.
It looked like I didn't run the play right, but the play was changed as we're jumping over pit wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
That happened more times than not. And then, but there was the other times I was capable of pulling that off. If I wasn't good enough, they wouldn't have been able to call that at that point in time.
Yeah.
There was other races that happened, and I still pulled that off. That was just the one case where, I'm getting this set of tires ready, interliners, getting all, carrying tires, wedge wrench, hanging a tire.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And to make that call that late, that's a mistake. That's just as much on Steve as it is me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Playing sports or anything else. Like, that was an audible as the ball was snapped.
Yeah.
So, no.
So
it's just easy. Hey, I'm the kid. It's just easy to go like, hey, that's what that was,
So the next day you got let go.
Yeah.
What was your reaction? I mean, did you go to Robin and say, or did Robin, was he the one that let you go?
I think it was Steve. It was Steve. But that was, like I said, that was a bad day. All that happened. But I think my work ethic got me through to the next job. I went the next week. Robert Yates hired me. And that was awesome. Loved it. Unbelievably loved what I was doing for Yates Racing.
So you said a moment ago that it was the best thing that happened to you and the worst thing that happened to you. I can understand worst.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the best, because you wound up at Yates.
Well, two things. One, I didn't have to work under my brother, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have to work. Even Steve Hmiel. I mean, Steve, we were family friends, right? I mean, so all that's good. I wanted to continue to be friends, but it gave me an opportunity to do something completely on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Prove my worth. And going to Yates was a great opportunity to. It was just a great opportunity to do something different, and sometimes you don't really know. Like I only worked for Yates for Roush for a couple of years. I didn't really know the scope of what I knew and what I have learned. Okay, I didn't know what the volume of that was, because I had nothing to judge it against.
Yeah.
When I got to Yates, I realized all the things that I could do and do well, and I think that's what that propelled me to do even more. I was scared when I got there because I didn't know if I was going to be good enough, and I think I quickly proved that I was.
We did a horrible job of losing. In other words, 1991 was just a black hole. I don't think we won a race till late in the year.
Yeah.
I think we won Atlanta, the last race of the year, because we were just, it killed us. We showed a lot of immaturity as a team. I'll blame myself for that, because it was just so heartbreaking to lose that darn thing. We thought we had it, and then the other thing that happened was at the end, Jack explained why we got the car, and it was something about a superior steering box that we wanted and all that, and it didn't have anything to do with the steering box. It was just, if you're going to take that guy's car, you're going to take that guy's engine.
Right.
So then you go to Rockingham in the spring and go back to Junior Johnson. You always got something to eat after you went through inspection at the restaurant there at Rockingham in the infield. And we're sitting there eating, me and Rob and Junior's a couple of tables over. Hey, why'd you run that other man's car? And like, oh, God. And then Earnhardt. And, Junior was way easier to talk to than Earnhardt about it. Man, you guys would have beat him. I'm like, just stop. You'll never know the whole thing, and it's not important now. We just got to whip you this year, and we did a terrible job in 91. Our hearts were just broken, and we didn't let them heal quick enough.
1991, things do kind of blow up early in the season, and there's a lot of turmoil. Mm-hmm. On the team, and you're pretty much right. You are pretty much right there at ground zero in the midst of it all. How difficult was it to go through all of that? And more importantly, how did you get past it?
There was always a lot of turmoil at Atlanta in the spring because it coincided with Jack racing the 12 hours at Sebring.
Sebring, yeah.
So poor old Jack, he's got 100 balls in the air, and he comes watch us qualify on Friday and work with us. I mean, not just watch. He was for sure a hands-on guy, still is. But he works his tail off on Friday and hauls butt to Sebring and worries about all that there and stays up till midnight and flies in, gets to Atlanta at the airport hotel at 2 o'clock in the morning and didn't have a room, so he's beating on the door. I said, just come in with me. Just live with me, And the next morning, Jack's exhausted and frustrated. And, it's just a really tough thing. And we left, Robin's brother left a jack screw wrench in the hole, and we had to come back in. And Robin's frustrated with NASCAR, and, they're right up there. And Robin's making all kinds of hand gestures to him. And Jack wants to be mad at Robin because he thought Robin was looking out for his brother. And, Jack was very, very careful about family things. You know what I mean? He would fire his son as soon as he fired anybody, and by God, the rest of you guys are going to be like that too. And we were, but at that point, Jack didn't realize that Robin was just mad about the situation, not about his brother being the guy. But
right.
Anyway, the next morning, Robin's fired, and it's all a mess, and Brian's got to go home, and Robin couldn't even take his company car home. I had to drive him home, and he and I are friends since we're 12 years old. And I'm like, man, we'll fix this, Rob. Just please, everybody, just slow down, you know. And then Jack got offended because I said, well, Jack went through a lot because of his Sebring thing, and he thought I had made him out to be a wimp because he couldn't go do a 12-hour race and not do one the next. So he's mad at me now, and I'm just explaining things, you know. I didn't get mad about anything. A week later, I found out he's super mad at me, you know, and I'm like, oh man, you know, obviously we don't know each other very well. So, and there were other things. Robin, people, you know, we had come a long ways, and Robin, owners were talking to Robin. And Jimmy Makar was getting ready to leave Penske to start Gibbs, which he's still there and doing a fantastic job.
Still.
Who could ever have dreamed that they'd have 3 of the top 4? And so Penske calls me, and yeah, I'll come see you, just see what's going on, you know, because I'm in kind of a tough situation, and it's very, very tense. And but anyway, ultimately, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to move my family to Mooresville or Lake Norman or whatever. But Jack heard about it, and he grabbed me and drug me off into a car, and he said, man, you know, I did this and I did that. I said, Jack, you got to understand, we did this and we did that. It's not, you know, I mean, if there was somebody that didn't know much about stock car racing, it would have been you.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of things so we all learned together. Jack only really wanted to listen to Leonard Wood. He loved Leonard Wood, which we all do.
Sure.
But if somebody told him something about a carburetor or what have you, if it didn't come through Leonard, you know, I remember we were at Talladega one time really struggling with a plate car, and it rained the race out. And we all got in the van going back to the hotel. And, you know, Jack's frustrated because I'm sure he had 1,000 meetings to do Monday in Livonia. He had a huge company, he still does, bigger now than ever. And I said, Jack, I don't know what's going on, but Bud Moore's got 4 100 jets in his carburetor. He said, so what do you want me to do, Steve? Put 4 100 jets in the carburetor? I said, no. And he got he was so mad at me. I said, Jack, I'm not telling you how to jet your carburetors, man. But there's something going on that allows him to do that. And that was another time he thought I was saying he didn't know what he was doing. And all I was doing was saying, hey, there's something happened in these manifolds or whatever. You know, it was only like the 3rd year with plates. 87, 88, 89, yeah. And later, we found out that when you got your manifold right, you would run 4 96 to 100 jets all the way around in the carburetor. But there were just a number of things that always had you saying, man, you know, every time the phone rang, you're like, oh my God, what have I done?
What now?
I'm sitting here trying to do the best I can do, talking to people as straight as I can talk to them, and I'm in trouble again. And what's his name? The fellow Mulhern. You know, Mulhern just...
Oh, good old Mulhern.
And I love him. I love Mike Mulhern. But my God, he would catch on something and would not turn it loose. I'm like, Mike, please just stop. I mean, you're ruining a race team here. You know, It was the internal strife was unbelievable in '91. Yeah.